Hi everyone. The instructions tell us to solve the equation using the addition property of equality. Most of the time the instructions will just read solve the equation. They're giving us a little extra hint here. Now I'm going to explain this and some of you probably don't need this detail of an explanation, but anytime you first learn how to solve equations, it's helpful to use the analogy of a scale. So I ask ahead of time for your forgiveness if this seems too elementary, but bear with me. All right, so an equation states that this side is equal to this side. So if they were on a scale, they would be balanced. Think of it as weight. This weighs the same amount as this. And if we're trying to solve the equation, we're trying to figure out what value of x will make this side equal to 12. Now, for an equation like this, you don't have to be Einstein to figure out that, well, x must be 14 because 14 minus 2 is equal to 12. So this would make this side equal to that side. But when the equation isn't quite so simple, the strategy that we use is to isolate x, get it all by itself on, in this case, the left side. So we want to do something to get rid of that negative 2. And you may be thinking, wait a minute, that's not a negative 2, that's subtract 2. And you're right, it's x subtract 2. But we could think of it as just a negative 2. And the reason we can think of it as a negative 2 is remember that x subtract 2 is the same as x plus a negative 2. So really I've got a negative 2 on this side of the equation, and the way I can get rid of it is to add 2. So if I do plus 2 over here, well, geez, if I add 2, think of it as weight again. If I add 2 pounds to this side of the scale, well, then it's going to tip it this way. It's no longer going to be balanced. So what I need to do to keep the scale balanced is to add 2 to this side as well. And the end result is that on the left side, the negative 2 and the positive 2 cancels out, the whole reason we added 2. We have x over here now by itself, and on this side we have 12 and 2 is 14. So now we know that this must equal to, because they still are balanced, x must equal to 14. So that's the solution to the equation, x equals 14. And we simply did this. We added the same thing to both sides. That's what the addition property of equality tells us, that if two things are equal to each other, if a is equal to b, then a plus c must equal to b plus c. Right? I'm adding the same thing to both sides of this equation. And as long as I do the same thing to both sides, then these two sides are still equal. For this one, we're going to do the same idea. I want to get x by itself on the right side. Currently, I've got x plus 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 10 from this side. But if I take 10 away from this side, I have to also take 10 away from the other side to keep the scale balanced. And I don't know why I wrote 3, but I'm going to have to subtract 10 from both sides. So when I do that subtraction, draw my line there to indicate that I'm going to combine these two, they cancel out. I'm going to bring down my x. And over here, negative 3 minus 10. So watch our signs carefully. Negative 3, take away 10, we've got a negative 13. So this equation has a solution x equals a negative 13.